Hello, everyone. We have another 2025 and 2026 governor election prediction video to make here for the month of September 2025. Not a lot has changed, but a few ratings have shifted. So we'll start off with the 2025 governor races. And so far, I still think the Democrats are poised to win both of them. In the general election or in the midterm election for Virginia Democrats, Spanberger is currently leading. The only polls that I really have are close are polls that are oversampling Republicans. I think the electorate's going to be like an R+2 electorate when it's going to be like a D+3 electorate in Virginia. So I expect Spanberger to win the Virginia governor's race by 9 points, nearly a safe blue margin as of right now, because her opponent, Sears, is running a very bad campaign. She's probably on track to lose by a pretty big amount, probably more than polls suggest right now. So I have it as Z+9. So let's take a look at New Jersey. We have Mikey Sherrill up against Jack Ciattarelli. Ciattarelli, so far, he's the best candidate the Republicans got, and he's still pretty down in the polls here. So they do have him in the 30s here. I think a lot of undecideds would break his way, honestly. And Cheryl, she's not up over 50 points, so this is a race that could still go his way. But again, it's in an off year, so Democrats are going to benefit with an off year turnout. So I currently have New Jersey's governor's race. I'd put it at about D+4 right now. I still don't think I'm actually putting it. It used to be likely blue. I'm putting it down to lean blue right now, just based off the polling and all those undecideds. There's a real shot he could win this race, so it's D+4 so far. Let's head over to the 2026 races, and we're just going to do all the safe red and safe blue states right now. So in Maryland, it's possible Larry Hogan decides to run for the Republicans. He's no longer term limited because he hasn't served a term there for a while. So he could run for the Maryland gubernatorial election again, but he's running against Wes Moore here. So he's a very strong Democratic candidate. He has a decent approval rating in Maryland, and they already did a poll, early poll, long while ago in 2025 that had Wes Moore beating Larry Hogan by a pretty large margin. So even if Larry Hogan was the nominee, I think he'd still lose here by a D+10 margin. He lost a lot of goodwill running for Senate here, and he really underperformed, losing by a double-digit margin. So it wouldn't shock me if he lost by a double-digit margin in the governor's race, because Wes Moore is a currently pretty popular Democratic governor. So let's get on with the safe red states. Yeah, Oklahoma putting a safe red. Even if it's a weak Republican, I still expect him to win by over 10. Florida is just gone for Democrats. Put Massachusetts. Rhode Island's only really competitive if the Democratic governor wins the primary election. So far, I think he's the underdog to win the primary. A lot of Democrats disapprove of him so far. In Connecticut, let's see if anything really changed here. Do we have any new polling? Oh, we actually did have some polling, but let's see. Oh, they're doing a convention. Okay. Honestly, I'd probably put this at about safe Democratic. So far, I think that Ned Lamont is going to run for re-election. If he doesn't, then I would put this as likely blue. But he's a very popular governor so far. I don't think he's going to get unseated. In Vermont, New Hampshire, these are very well-elected governors. I expect both of them to run for re-election. I think Phil Scott would easily win. Kelly Oyette, I think she would win by 10 in the governor's race. So I don't think she's in any real trouble. She's a very well-elected governor. In Maine, a lot of Democrats are running for governor in this state, so I have this as likely blue. They got a lot of good candidates up there. Greg Abbott, expect this to be a safe red race. He has a pretty stable approval rating. Colorado is just going to be safe blue. In Alaska, the Democrats have a decent candidate running. So even if Mary Patola doesn't run, the Democrats have Tom Begich running on the ticket for them. So he actually has a pretty good shot at winning this race here. And so far, it's kind of like a clown car of the Republicans. I got so many people running at once right now. So it's probably going to be Nancy Dahlstrom who's going to be the Republican nominee. Let's see if we have any polling out of this race. We only had polling for Mary Patola. So with a lot of uncertainty in this race, I'm putting this as lean Republican for now. Democrats have a good candidate in this race, though. That's what I'll note. In Minnesota, with Tim Walz, he's likely going to run for re-election. Even if he doesn't, the Democrats still have a lot of good statewide figures they could run in Minnesota. New Mexico, it's also a likely blue race. Oregon, Tina Kotek, her approval rating's pretty low, but I expect her to win re-election. Kathy Hochul, let's check out polling in New York so far. She is definitely going to be running against, what is the Republican? Stefaniak. Yeah, no one else is really going to be running so far. So let's take a look at hypothetical polling. And so far, she's beating Stefaniak in every single poll by bigger margins than she was beating Mike Lawler by. So I think Hochul's going to win New York's governor's race by about 8 points. So likely blue state. Heading over to Kansas, let's take a look down here. On the Republican side, it's really either going to be Scott Schwab or Jeff Collier as the Republican nominee. On the Democratic side, they just got a few state senators. But at the same time, Laura Kelly, she started as a state senator when she ran for governor. So I'm going to be waiting for some polling out of this race before I decide to either make it lean Republican or more competitive than that. So for now, assuming Scott Schwab is the nominee, I'm putting this as a likely Republican race. In Nevada, there is a Democrat running. I'm pretty sure it is the secretary, or let's see who he is. Aaron Ford, Nevada Attorney General. So Aaron Ford, he could have a shot in the Senate or this House governor race, but we haven't had any polling out of this race that is like actually recent. So there's no real way we can know how much of a lead Joe Lombardo has. I'm assuming he has a lead though, because he is a popular governor in the state. So it's lean Republican. In Georgia, Democrats still don't have a good candidate running in this race so far, based on the quality of them right now. And there's also potential of Stacey Abrams running. I'm putting this as a tilt-R race. Again, it could all change if a good Democrat runs on the side here. On the Republican side, there's no one that's really amazing either. So this is still a pretty competitive race. So tilt Republican. In Ohio with Vivek Ramaswamy, let's take a look at polling out of this race because I think we've seen some new polling coming out. So Vivek is definitely going to win if the nominee is Amy Acton. But if the nominee was Tim Ryan, he would also still win by 8 points. So yeah, even though Vivek's a very weak nominee, he's on track to win by 8 points in the governor's race. So he's on track to win by a likely red margin. So let's head over to Iowa. I actually think this race will be more competitive because the Democrats have Rob Sand running on the Democratic side. He's the only statewide Democrat to win in Iowa in the 2022 red wave. On the Republican side, they got some decent candidates running. Randy Finstra is probably going to be the Republican nominee. He's a strong Republican candidate, so I expect him to hold this race, but Rob Sand is definitely going to have a chance at winning, so I'm putting this as lean Republican. Heading over to Pennsylvania, Josh Shapiro is definitely going to face a stronger Republican with Stacey Garrity. She won previously statewide in Pennsylvania by a decent margin, so I think Shapiro is on track to win by about 10 points as of right now, so I'm putting this as a safe blue state. That could change over time. In Arizona, this is going to be a very, very competitive race with Katie Hobbs. She's facing, in all likelihood, Andy Biggs, who is a decent fit for Arizona's governor's race, even though he isn't really that much of a moderate, so he could lose among independents. But there's so much undecideds here that it's just really going to depend on who is able to win over these independent voters more. But Biggs is the stronger candidate than Robson. So Hobbs is a very vulnerable governor right now, but with the Democratic environment, with the environment looking like a D plus 2.5 environment in the generic ballot, I think Katie Hobbs has the narrow advantage. In Wisconsin, it is an open race. Tony Evers is not running for re-election. But the Democrats do have some candidates they could run that could definitely win this race. Someone like Josh Kaul, for example, he could decide to run here. He's the Attorney General of Wisconsin, who'd be a very strong Democratic candidate. The Lieutenant Governor of Wisconsin could also run here. So I still think this is a lean blue race. I don't think Republicans are going to flip this race red. I mean, let's take a look on the Republican side to see if there's anyone really strong running. So far, they don't really have a lot of good candidates running. They do have a county executive running. But so far, in off-year elections, Wisconsin typically goes blue. So I still think the Democrats are the favorite there. In Michigan, we have Mike Duggan, who's still running. And let's see how well he's polling. He's still polling in the 20s, which I don't expect him to finish there. If he's still polling in the 20s by the time of the election, I think Democrats can be in a bit of trouble. But I think he's going to go below double digits. We haven't had a recent poll out of this race in a very long time either. But I think Jacqueline Benson, she's still the narrow favorite to win here. But there's a lot of unpredictability with the Republican, with Mike Duggan running an independent campaign. He's the mayor of Detroit, so he could hurt Democrats' Detroit margin there. So John James is probably going to be the nominee here. He's definitely a stronger Republican to run, but he's always lost statewide. He's never pulled off that win. So for now, I'm putting this as a tilt blue race in Michigan. A lot depends on Mike Duggan. If he stays in, he's still polling very strong. John James has a real shot at winning. But I think Mike Duggan's going to finish off at like a low single digits, or not low, I think like mid to high single digits, like a 7-point support in the state of Michigan. But right now, I think the Democrats are still narrowly favored to win Michigan's governor's race. So this is my predictions for the 2025 and 2026 gubernatorial elections. Let me know what you think of these predictions in the comments below. Other than that, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye.